2 to 4 p.m. for the Western Resilience Water Project at the Davis Penn Football Field in Trelawny. Jamaica's future flows from the West. Tune in live for the official launch of the Western Resilience Water Project, a bold step towards sustainable development and water security. Hear from national leaders, strategic partners, and experience the groundbreaking moment. Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM from 2 to 4 p.m. on July 4. It's the Western Resilience Water Project at the Davis Penn Football Field in Trelawny. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
Okay, good afternoon, and welcome to Nationwide 90 FM. This is an outside broadcast that falls inside the slot where the E-Zone would normally be up and running, but it's not entertainment that we're doing at this time. We are talking about water, we're talking about infrastructure, and we're talking about giving communities access to liquid gold. We are coming to you from, which parish are we in? We're in Trelawny. We're at this place called Davis Penn, and we're at Davis Penn Football Field. It's rather dry on the outside, and it is dusty. My driver was asking why they didn't sprinkle the place, and I'm saying, sir, the people don't even have the kind of water to have been doing their daily chores in a satisfactory manner. You want them to use the commodity to be sprinkling place so that you can drive your Bossy vehicle and park it. Anyway, so we are here for the official launch of the Western Resilience Water Project and groundbreaking ceremony for Phase 1. And as I noted, the Davis Penn Football Field is where we are in Trelawny. So the project is a big one. They're spending, $67.5 billion? That's Jamaican dollars, 67.5 billion Jamaican, or 425 million US. And 41% of that sum, 41% of that 67.5 billion Jamaican overall spend, 41% of that is going to be spent on this, the Davis Penn, this Western Resilience Water Project. Phase 1 is going to take up 41% of that official spend. I see in the foreground, they are laying out the shovels. There are water pipes presented struck up. Water pipes laid out strategically. There's a backhoe with 6 and 6, 12 pipes, 6 on each side of the backhoe, the excavator, and they are no doubt lining up the shovels with ribbons for the officials to use to dig in to the ground for the symbolic ground breaking. So 28 billion, or 41% of the 67.5 billion to be spent in Phase 1, and the community is set to benefit. They say major towns such as Father Lamar, Negril, Montego Bay, Falmouth, Runaway Bay, St. Anne's Bay, and Ocho all set to benefit. And then they say series of what they describe as smaller townships, including Little London, Green Island, Lucy, Sandy Bay, Hopewell, Reading, Ironshore, Corolla Gardens, Rose Hall, Lilliput, Greenwood, Salt Marsh, Duncans, Rio Bueno, Discovery Bay, Priory, and Marmy Bay. All of these communities, the organizers say, the government says, beg your pardon, will benefit from this Western Resilience, Water Resilience Project. The Minister of Water is taking his seat. He just saw Nationwide drive up, so he knows we mean business, and he just walked up. I don't think my producer has seen him since he got here, because we just got here, but he has seen us, and he knows that it's work time when Nationwide come calling. So we are clearing the decks to speak with the minister in charge of water, the water minister, Matthew Samoda, the man in charge of Northeast St. Anne. Good afternoon, Minister.
Good afternoon, George, and good afternoon to all of you listeners.
I've never seen a shirt as yellow as this in a long time. Is this yellow or is this gold? We're colorblind, we're men, so we don't know. So I'm not asking you for the answer because you don't know either.
Close enough to one of the colors of the flag, right?
There you go. The shirt is really eye-catching. All right, so we've journeyed far to come here to hear the government talk about why it is spending $28 billion on Phase 1 of this project, which is a $67.5 billion overall spend for the Western Resilience Water Project. Talk to me about that effort, or this effort.
So anyone who has traversed the area of Coral Gardens this morning knows exactly why we're here this morning. The line would have collapsed again this morning, and would have disrupted water supply from pretty much all of eastern St. James. So this line from Martha Brae carries water daily from the Martha Brae to the terminal reservoir in the center of St. James. When that line collapses, invariably St. James is out of water for some 7 to 10 days sometimes, depending on the level of disruption. Mm-hmm. Now, the standard global is that if your line goes down 4 times a year, you should change it.
Yes.
We've had 4 breaks in the last 6 weeks.
Wow.
This line was laid in 1982, a little before I was born.
Yes.
It has passed its useful life.
Which month in 1982? You know which month?
No, I imagine that it took the whole year.
It would have been before I was born too, but go ahead.
There you go. There you go. So, it's past its useful life. But if you also think of the corridor from Draxhall all the way to the western end of Negril, if you think of the economic expansion and the population expansion along that corridor since we were born,
yes,
you know that the lines that were laid also are inadequate to carry the volume of water,
yes,
to facilitate this. Now, why mention Draxhall? Well, very simply, what this project seeks to integrate several water treatment plants in a way where you're able to send the water east and west, meaning someone in Negril can benefit from as far as the White River treatment facility. When Martha Brae is losing less water going into St. James, then Great River is able to pump further west to Negril instead of pumping to the western side of St. James. We're developing an integrated system that will see significant improvement in transmission capacity. And then in phase 2, we'll also be doing the water treatment plant capacity and building new water treatment plants in places like Roaring River, more on the southern side of Westmoreland, but certainly all of the systems will integrate and will help each other.
Yeah, I can imagine when you speak of the belt that the pipeline runs and the communities that are without the commodity when the line collapses. I can imagine business people and residents burning up your phone and those people at the NWC.
Well, George, a few of them cursed me out last year, you'll recall, from Negril when Negril was going through its worst drought. So this project and certainly this phase, though we've chosen to start, or rather ceremonially start the project in the eastern end of its construction zone, will benefit those business people as well, all the way in Negril, in Lucy, in Green Island. Because the reality is we cannot continue to grow or continue to develop without this investment. This investment is a nation-building investment because it will see the pipeline from Martha Brae into St. James replaced. It will see the pipeline from Great River all the way to the west end of Negril replaced.
Yes.
Now, the project also contemplates community development, meaning like persons that are in immediate proximity to these lines who have old, distribution lines in their community. We'll also be changing those lines as well, because we know with the increase in pressure, you're going to have a lot of leaks at the community level as well.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine people listening to us grateful for the arrival of what they believe to be deliverance from the water woes that they've had repeatedly. I still can't get back past the point you made about the line collapsing 4 times in 6 weeks, when if you collapse 4 times in a year by international standards, you're supposed to change. But they might be saying, okay, so this is the spend, this is the project. They are at Davis Penn now doing this ceremony for the ceremonial groundbreaking. What is the timeline for completion of phase 1 of this project? When can I put the water woes behind me?
This is 2 years of construction, George. It is the laying of pipe of transmission mains up to 36 inches in some spaces and 24 inches in the other. It is very heavy equipment that has to lay these pipes. It's not something where human intervention can lay many of them. Obviously, there will be human beings on the sites,
yes,
but it's a very large construction project. We have signed contract. We are moving to order all of the pipes because you can't even get all of them. It's 68 kilometers of pipe work at 36 inches. It's a massive, massive project. Right?
Yes. And all right, so
and phase 2 won't start. Well, certainly we've started elements of phase 2 now. We're in the process of the transaction design for our water treatment plants. We're in the process of the engineering designs. So you'd have recalled that last year at the tail end of the drought, the Prime Minister announced that we had on an emergency basis procured the engineering side of this. So in many ways, this is part 1B.
Yes.
Because the engineering phase and all of the financing and bureaucratic processes have taken place since last year, March through to now.
Yes. All right. So I was going to ask you when would phase 2 start and if it would be a clean cut between phase 1 and 2.
It won't be a clean cut. There will be overlaps.
Yes. All right. Very well. So in the time, as the minister takes a call, no problem. There's a constant demand on his time. and there are matters of state that he perhaps has to deal with. But thankfully, that call is short. For the residents listening again, and practical sensibilities sometimes take a back seat when you're suffering and you want deliverance. You ask them questions sometimes that you're saying, but we're doing this. You want everything done at the same time, but that's how people are, and that's fine. So they will ask you, say, okay, George, the minister says 2 years worth of work will see phase one, the work plan being completed. What happens while the major works are going on? Or what kind of relief exists for us in that time?
Well, this isn't the only works going on in and around the area. The works done last year to improve water supply into the grilling, the leaking pipes that you had, works at the treatment plants in and around the area that serve that area, have already yielded $3 million gallons per day of additional water supply into Negril. I've been to this constituency several times to commission pipe work in the interim.
And remind me, this constituency is whose again?
North Trelawny,
Northern
Tova Hamilton.
Tova Hamilton, yes.
But this is one of many projects that we have, George. Right now we have $22 billion of works on the books. I call it in the big yellow book, the budget book, that is underway this year, between the Spark roads that are relaying pipes, between NHT developments which are relaying are laying new pipes in some places, but relaying old housing developments, between the Water Commission's $11 billion that it is spending, between Rural Water, which is also investing close to $1 billion. I mean, JSIF, which is in St. James, certainly in southern St. James, spending over $1.3 billion. The water systems are in a better state today than they were 9 years ago. We have already impacted the water supply to 350,000 Jamaicans positively in that period. With the works that we start formally today, George, we can say to Jamaicans that 900,000 people are living along corridors that are benefiting or will benefit on the completion of construction work that we are already underway. Transactions that are complete where the work is going on. So if you think of the Rio Cobra system similarly, that's another 2-year project.
Yes.
But if you're driving on the highway now, certainly heading to the beautiful parish of St. Anne and you look to your right, you will see that construction is underway. Now, we're not asking people to live 2 years without water. Obviously, there is water in these areas, and we'll continue to do the small fixes that we can in the interim. But this is the transformational investment that is required for St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, and the western half of St. Anne, certainly the northwestern half of St. Anne, to truly get stable water supply.
So the word then is this: for the next 2 years, well, after this phase one is completed, you're saying then that the factors which led to the severe water problem, which affected hoteliers and residents in the West End, and which put you at the mercy of the tourism interest,
Indeed.
the hoteliers there last year, remember very, very well. You're saying that the factors that caused that overall problem, those factors would have dissipated, if not disappeared by the time this 2 years of phase one is done.
Infrastructural factors,
Yes.
George. We are living in the era of climate change.
For sure.
One needs to recall that drought in the northwestern tip of the island was the worst that we've ever experienced
Yes.
in that area. Climatic factors are outside of our country.
But here's why I put it that way, Minister. Nobody could reasonably blame you if there isn't water. But what the stakeholders were able to say when they complained was that we know that there's water here and water there, but it's not being piped here because the infrastructure can't support the movement of water. So I'm saying you would have done what was humanly possible to get water to these areas.
Correct. And at the end of this project, we'll be able to say that sufficient distribution infrastructure is indeed complete. At the end of phase 2 and phase 3, we will be able to say that sufficient production and storage infrastructure is also in place. And at the end of phase 1, 2, and 3, we'll be able to say, see you in 25 years. And hopefully,
Yes.
whoever is in government in 15 years will start the planning for replacement of elements of it,
Yes.
so that there never needs to be this conversation again. And hopefully, whoever is in government in 15 years also runs the economy in such a way where we can afford something like this. This project is being financed from the consolidated fund. There is no loan component.
I wanted to restate that, Minister.
This project is being financed from taxpayer dollars and NWC revenues
$67.5 billion.
over the next 5 years.
No loan, no grant.
Correct.
All right, as we wrap, because the official proceedings are
So
drawn.
when NWCs run well,
Yes.
you have money. When the countries run well,
Yes.
you can make national investments of this scale.
As the official proceedings draw closer to starting, let me just mention it this way, this last point to raise with you. The residents of Savannah Lamar, Negril, Mobay, Falmouth, Runaway Bay, St. Anne's Bay, Ocho Little London, Greenad and Lucy, Sandy Bay, Hopewell, Reading, Iron Shore, Coral Gardens, Rose Hall, Lilliput, Greenwood, Saltmarsh, Duncans, Rio Bueno, Discovery Bay, Priory, and Marby Bay. The message to them today is what?
Is that we have already improved water delivery in the area. This is the genuine transformation of your water distribution. And this will give you, as I said, 20 to 25 years of comfort to make your investments, to make your living decisions, and you won't have to contemplate whether or not water will affect your quality of life.
And the last thing I'll say is this. The minister says it's 67.5 billion to be spent, not 12% money or 14% money on the international market. It's loanless, it's grantless, it's your money, it's my money that's being used to do this thing. Minister, thank you for your time this afternoon. All the best to you.
Absolutely.
That's the Water Minister and Member of Parliament for North East St. Anne, Matthew Samuda. We take a break here from this event at the official launch of the Western Resilience Water Project and groundbreaking ceremony phase 1. We're at Davis Pen in North Trelawny. It's Tova Hamilton's constituency, and a lot of people are here. A lot of agencies, the media is here. We're not the only ones broadcasting from here. Good afternoon, Peter Respute, and we take a break. Back with more after these.
I just heard you found the one you've been looking for. I wish I would have known that wasn't me. 'Cause even after all this time I still wonder why I can't move on just the way you did so easily. Don't wanna know the kind of dress you're wearing tonight, if he's holding on to you so tight the way I did before. I overdosed, should've known your love was a game. Now I can't get you out of my brain. Oh, it's such a shame. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore. We don't talk anymore like we used to do. We don't laugh anymore. What was all of the fun? We don't talk anymore like we used to do. I don't wanna be alone tonight. It's pretty clear that I'm not over you. I'm still thinking about the things you do. So I don't wanna be alone tonight.
Nationwide, 90 FM.
Can you fight the fight? And need somebody who can take control. I know exactly what I need to do. 'Cause I don't wanna be alone tonight, alone tonight, alone tonight. Look what you made me do. I'm with somebody new. Ooh, baby, baby, I'm dancing with a stranger. Look what you made me do. I'm with somebody new. Ooh, baby, baby, I'm dancing with a stranger. Dancing with a stranger. I wasn't even going out tonight.
Decorate like a designer with BH Paints. The time brought to you by BH Paints is
2:30.
Are you looking to drive sales and build brand visibility this summer? Be a vendor at the Nationwide 90 FM Back to School Fair on Saturday, July 26th at Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay. Families from St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Trelawny, and St. Elizabeth will be out in full force. And you should be too. Call us at 876-630-1210 or email sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com to secure your spot. Let's put your brand where it matters, on the ground.
Ladies,
ladies. Tune in to the Design Studio on July 5 from 1 to 3 p.m. as we broadcast live from the Garden Group Ladies Expo. Come to Jamaica's ultimate Ladies Day at the National Arena. Experience over 100 exhibitors featuring fashion, beauty, food and wine tastings, health, finance, career tips, live entertainment, and more. Gather your girlfriends for an unforgettable day of glam, growth, and great vibes. Can't make it? We got you covered. Tune in to the Design Studio on July 5 from 1 to 3 p.m. It's the Garden Group Ladies Expo, the ultimate ladies' day out. Catch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Garden Group and Stewart's Automotive Group.
And if you hear this, I'm going better back, going better be.
Come into the parlor, there's a welcome there for you.
Welcome to the Mayor's Parlor with Desmond McKenzie.
From 1 to 6 p.m. every Sunday, you'll now get more of your favorite vintage music.
Put your head on my shoulder.
Nationwide 90 FM will transform your Sunday into a musical time machine that will take you way back.
Come on, let's go back in time.
This magic moment.
Journey into yesteryear with Desmond McKenzie in the Mayor's Parlor.
I've got the music to jog your memory and make you smile.
Put your sweet lips a little closer to the phone.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the best in vintage music.
Come into the Mayor's Parlor every Sunday between 1 and 6 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Those oldies but goodies reminds me of you.
Nationwide 90 FM.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Life, life, life. Celebrate life, celebrate life. One more year, celebrate life. One more year, yeah, yeah, yeah. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. Yeah. One more year, pandem. Yeah. Go on a vibe. Give thanks for life.
Good afternoon. Welcome back to Nationwide 90 FM. We are out this afternoon, as we've been for several afternoons now. Western Resilience Water Project. It is phase one of that project. The overall spend is 67.5 billion throughout the process, but this first phase, 28 billion. And that's approximately 41% of the total spend being front-loaded to get the project up and running. You just heard from the Water Minister, Matthew Samuda, affirm that the project is being pursued, is being done, is being implemented with purely money from the Consolidated Fund, twinned with resources from the National Water Commission. As he made the point, if the NWC makes money, then the government is able to do so much more, and the NWC having cash to lend to this effort. And it is noteworthy that a project of this magnitude is being implemented without the need for expensive money borrowed on the international capital market at significant interest cost. I am going to speak now with Glaister Cunningham. He's the Vice President in charge of Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring at the National Water Commission. Glaister, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
The NWC is cash rich.
No.
I know I would have caught you off guard in that one. Not cash rich, but in a position to help.
In a position to help. That's a good way of putting it. Thank you.
Excellent. All right. So this overall project now, the project concept and just that. Right. Good. The project concept, Glaister, for this overall undertaking, especially phase one. Talk to me about that.
So the concept. All right. So the concept is not dissimilar from the need across many parishes across Jamaica. So what you have, and I'm sure you've heard this many times, infrastructure, particularly relates to water and wastewater infrastructure across the island, is very aged. In many cases, older than our parents.
Yes.
What that means is there's significant, well, as you would expect with any asset, significant. It's past their economic lifetime, which means that the asset is in dire need of replacement.
Yes.
So what this part of the program is, I suspect you've already had an overview of the program.
Yes.
Is an upgrade of the pipelines from the Martha Bray water treatment plant into the terminal reservoir in Montego Bay and from Lucy to Negril. Those pipelines, there are 700 and 800 millimeter in the case of the section for the Martha Bray and 500 millimeter in the case of the section from Lucy to Negril. What that will do, as the name implies, is improve the water resilience, give us another 30 to 40 years.
Yes.
I won't say trouble-free,
yes,
but a renewed asset such that we won't have to worry about that. We can worry about other things.
Yes.
Because those pipelines are being, the pipe sizes are being increased. The phase 2 of that, they're being sized such that they can accommodate expansion of the water treatment plants in phase 2. You follow?
Yes.
So that's the overall concept, the first 2 phases of the program, and we're pursuing phase 1 now.
Yes. I'm keen to understand what happens in an instance, Glaister, where you are doing massive infrastructural works, especially on the design and on the distribution system. In communities where persons complain about water lockoffs, what do these extensive works mean for that? Do the water lockoffs continue? Do they get worse, given that the workers have to be in the line, literally doing the replacement and setting it down? So is that more pain short term as the long term prospects look even more flowery?
What I will say is that that's inevitable in some cases, but it will be managed and mitigated to all the extents within our power. So what will happen, as you can imagine, to those who've never been exposed to this kind of thing, the new line will be put down in parallel to the existing one. It's not like you're removing a line to replace it, right? So service should not be disrupted in aggregate. But of course, when you have certain things, when you have connection points to be made, you'll have temporary. And the public will be warned about those things, such that they can be prepared. And the NWC, of course, will offer alternatives such as trucking, etc., where it becomes necessary, if it's a prolonged circumstance.
Yes, and the reason I'm bringing this to the fore, I don't want listeners to get the impression that that's trying to be downplayed or there won't be any disruption. There has to be some temporary pain, but the greater good, and the fact that you say measures will be put in place to kind of ameliorate the conditions. So here's the other thing then. When it is that you are undertaking a project of this scale, and the NWC is involved in several major water projects right across the island, the resources at the NWC's disposal in terms of personnel, the right personnel to get the job done right. People seem to think there are a limited number of people who can do engineering works, structural works at the appropriate level, and so because of this, you're going to have to be transferring teams from here to come here to go there. Are there enough skilled workers to be able to get this done in parallel with the other projects that are undergoing that you won't have to take workers from to get the job done?
Absolutely. So this particular project is being executed by Vinci Grant Projects.
Yes.
As you know. So the contractor is the primary provider of the engineering and the workmanship skill set.
Yes.
The function NWC forms in this is more of a supervisory role. And yes, we do have not just operational technical teams, but we also have an engineering core as well within the NWC. And they will be present throughout the lifetime of the works, ensuring that the work is done to the standards and to the specifications within the project.
Yes, and again, it's important to stress that, because people seem to think that with smaller projects where there are a limited number of people with the expertise to get the job done, that there'll be delays as you go along because workers become itinerant and have to be moved from site to site to oversee and to do various phases of a development. You're saying that that's not the case because the contractor has his ducks in a row.
Correct.
Very well. Glaister, lastly, when you look down the road, say for instance 10 years, at the pace at which NWC is undertaking these kind of works across the island, whether it's laying sewage lines in Kingston 6 near where I live, water lines in places such as where we are today, and water lines in other parts of the country. What should the issue of NRV in these areas look like? How much of the commodity that you collect, store, treat, and distribute, which formerly was just going into the ground, so it was wasted money from the start, how will that picture change when these lines are laid?
So it's part of an overall, an entire island strategic plan. There is a separate project called the All Island Non-Revenue Water Reduction Program.
All right.
Which we are pursuing now. You would have heard about it in the media. Yes. That program, it dovetails with it.
Yes.
So NRW, to put it in the simplest terms possible, is leakage, as you just illustrated. If you have damaged old pipes, putting in a new pipe reduces that leakage. Mm-hmm. So it's part of and it's never ending, by the way.
Yes.
If you think about your own home,
yes,
your toilet, you buy a new house or you put in a new toilet, it never just stays perfect the whole time. You have to maintain. Mm-hmm. And that's essentially what an NRW program is in its simplest terms. It's a maintenance program to ensure that you get the best service out of the life of whatever asset that is for as long as possible.
Yes.
And this is just one more facet of that.
Yes, absolutely. And the listeners and the viewers should know that once you're in manufacturing, you're in the business of running a plant, then or plants, various plants, you're going to need preventative maintenance, you're going to need the corrective maintenance.
Absolutely.
And in the past, the NWC and the government, whichever government party has been in power, they've been constrained on the revenue side to do the preventative maintenance as things go along. So it now turns into a situation where the corrective maintenance needs even more resources.
Absolutely.
Because they haven't been able to pay attention to the small things over time. Glista, I want to thank you for your time. I know there's an official ceremony set to start and you have a role to play.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much and all the best. And keep the NWC in a position where it makes cash enough to be able to contribute to things like these.
That is our intention.
Excellent.
Thank you
sir.
so much.
All right. Vice President, Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring at the National Water Commission, Glaister Cunningham. There is, he mentioned the contractor, and I want to spend just a second on that before I go to the break, Natalie, to say that it's not xenophobia. It's not xenophobia, but some people, their hackles are raised when they hear that a Chinese contractor is implementing any major project. They say, Lord God, the Chinese them again. Yeah? And it's not xenophobia. People just want to see their local experts, their local professionals getting a fair shake. And they feel that the number of projects, massive projects that the Chinese are implementing means that local experts, local engineers, local artisans are not getting a chance to feed at the trough. That is not the case, because I can say, based on what I know about a lot of these projects, even where the Chinese win the bids to implement the contracts, a lot of the work is done by locals. And in this case, it's not a Chinese company implementing. Vinci is a French company, yeah? They have a strong presence in about 4 countries, and it's a French company that is implementing this. And again, the French will have to, they're not bringing in workers by the truckloads or the boatloads or the plane loads from France. They are turning to Jamaican professionals to get the work done. And boy, sometimes on the beat of the Chinese people, them too much. And as a child of a Chinese mother, yeah, I feel away sometimes. And boy, under pressure, we so you understand. So we take the break and come right back with more. This is Nationwide 90 FM, coming to you from Davis Penn in North Trelawny.
Real from the heart, no pretend. Big birthday, bash. If I ever on the ground, dig splash. Give thanks for when I fall. Dash, watch it, they make me go dip in at the stash. Drink and smoke, turn up the sound box. Girl, them a bubble to the max. Everything well, cool and relaxed. So we send out the location. They a pass spot. We a pop champagne non-stop, yeah. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. Yeah. One more year on them. Go on a vibe, give thanks for life. Next year we doing it again, yeah, yeah. Happy birthday, yeah, my friend. One more year, one day. Give thanks to the earth and give thanks for our life to you, God, with day until you. Read from the heart. Follow me now. Well, if I even one buckle up the ball for me, head strong, head strong, head strong, head strong. You see for today, yeah, your birthday celebrate. Yo, drop a a buckle, drop a crate. Boy, if I even one buckle of the pipe and we hurt strong, hurt strong, hurt strong, hurt strong. Yeah, why if I today are your birthday celebrate? Bust a buckle, bust a crate. Boy, hear me now, man a big man, so we know do the cake thing. Real friend, we say sorry, but no the fake thing. Hey, me and me brethren them celebrating me birthday in a the club I one with dating. How the Mr. Waiter do not keep me waiting. Me birthday I celebrate, so we don't keep you hating. Well, if I can't sing, but I no money wasting. But I mean just half a great thing. Cause if I even one buckle of the pipe and we hurt strong, hurt strong, hurt strong, hurt strong. Let me know, today are your birthday celebrate. Hey, bust a buckle, bust a buckle, bust a buckle, bust a buckle.
Me say a prayer this morning. One back a chanting. Firm and planted. Blessing us to flow like mountain. This morning. One bag of chanting. Me a break. What my fool about? No. Yo, pull up. That is true. Me say a prayer this morning. One bag of chanting. Firm and planted. Blessing us to flow.
Nationwide 90 FM.
This morning. One bag of chanting. Me a break, what my fool about? Many things we can do without. Anything we want, Jaja make it start up. I feel work, sun a shine till the place dark out. Call out. Them a talk about hungriness, me nah look. Me tell my friends them all about higher life. Girl a wine, carry drive, dollar sign. Richer than most, carry higher life. House of the bills and we mama nice. Brother never say this is a paradise. Tell about the higher life.
Higher life, man a drive, be man now, mama smile. Y'all give me car wash and I just tired. Camera lights, bag of vibes, famous and no lie. Legends cannot die, tell me roll it and no time. Wings probably need service to how man a fly. See things clear like somebody we love charitize. Before car, nothing couldn't stop it drive. Fully brave, we go through flames like firefighter. Survive that. I can't tell her I'm solid down. Deal with shame, cement and steel and black table turn. Just watch, no surprise if you see a cat.
Jah beg you watch over us as I smoke up and drink up. We going to party tonight, yeah. We going to party tonight, yeah. Ladies, if you love excitement, call me, rub you the right way. We going to party tonight, yeah. We going to party tonight, yeah. Watch them girls get their so perfect, but they don't look like mermen. I love champagne like them and love fervent. Let's party. Lovers don't bring your heart in. Gangsters don't come with your kind. Them so good, let them wonder if it's their birthday. Yeah, Jah beg you watch over us as I smoke up and drink up. We going to party tonight, yeah. We going to
everybody up.
Yeah, give them a up.
Everybody up.
Love you look. Yeah, give them a up.
What me do? Spend a couple dump here, make the club shake. Living legend on the asphalt, know them up here. Slim gal a slim, gal a job enough here.
No, yo, pull up. That is tune. Nationwide 90 FM. DJ Jerome Shell Boss.
Everybody up.
Yeah, give them a up.
Everybody up.
Love you look. Yeah, give them a up.
What me do? Spend a couple dump here, make the club shake. Living legend on the asphalt, know them up here. Slim gal a slim, gal a job enough here. Everybody up, give them a up.
No, they run out, just wait. Tough crackers, them bodies are come here. I know.
Boss be a boss, done for every done. Ever militant, so it and so it and. Humble like a lamb, tell them no confusion. Boss be every boss, done for every done. Make them know see I want, so it and so it and. No confusion. Hey, nah, you over shop. Badness no rate them where them get it from. A fool I know the time them get cramp, them only pretending must want to meet them. Them can't see me, they pan a higher rank, and if I dark and ignorant. Mash up them plate, them have to get a scan. So them no pay no mind, them just a rant a sort. I instant, from half a distance. A guy for no semi no run from. Hey, pass for every box. Done for every done. If I ever militant, so it and so it and. Humble like a tell them no confusion. Hey, pass for every box. Done for every done. Make them know see I want, and I no confusion. So it and so it and.
Every time I rise, we do it for the love, we not do it for the lights. Do it for the love, we not do it for the lights. Make them know success don't come overnight. No make them know a substance over hype. Do it for the love, we not do it for the lights. Nobody will have likes, that's alright. Sit down on a post and a tweet all night. Sit down on social media type. What like say them they got you to a vice.
When you're ready. All right. We're coming back to you. We are at Davis Penn in North Trelawny for the Western Resilience Water Project Phase 1. I repeat, it's a $67.5 billion project overall, but 41% of that, some $28 billion, is being spent in this Phase 1. And a number of communities are set to benefit. Big towns and then townships are set to benefit. And then some places that you'd know very well by name that have not been mentioned on the list, which will also benefit. The Member of Parliament for North Trelawny has consented to giving us a quick interview before she heads to the tent to participate in the official proceedings. Tova Hamilton, good afternoon. Thank you for speaking here this afternoon.
Good afternoon, George.
Oh, you do?
Tired.
Tired. You don't look tired.
I am very tired.
Yeah?
Yes, because we have a lot going on this weekend. So, naturally, I have to be on the ground preparing.
Yes. This is a medium to long-term cure for something that I'm sure ails a lot of your constituents. Talk to me about this.
So, yes, it does provide some solution to some of our communities, but it's still not nearly enough. You know, Trelawny Northern is a huge...
big bad.
Huge constituency. Yeah. I always say it's a constituency for a big belly man, but I'll leave that for another time. But I inherited a constituency with a lot of water issues. So this particular project will solve issues for the Johnson Hill, Davis Penn, Newtown communities, and all the communities leading off of the transmission coming from Marthabury. So, and the expansion will also mean that more people in some of the communities can also get water. Yes. So, it is a very good project, and I'm very happy for it.
Yes.
And of course, naturally, I'll welcome some more.
Yes. How have your constituents welcomed the communication from you about the advent of this project?
Oh my, I had a meeting with the Johnson Hill community a couple of weeks ago and spoke to them about it, and they're very excited for it. Some of them will be here today, so maybe you can interview them to hear their reactions to it. But it will soothe the problem. I'm actually here also trying to have discussions with the NWC to see how we can, in the short term, resolve some of the issues until this big project is completed.
And I've been stressing that with the minister and the NWC vice president who I spoke with earlier. What happens while this thing is being implemented?
So I think we've come up with a solution.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that we can implement it shortly and will help to alleviate. And then we have private sector that's also willing to step in, because we can source some water close to the community, which will also help NWC in terms of cost. So it is a good thing all around.
All right, so strike one for water.
Yes.
The other thing I imagine people burn your phone with when they call, Miss Tova, water is one, Miss Tova, road.
Oh God, road is number one.
Yes, how the road go?
And I know you drove on a nice one coming here.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
So you have to remember also that my constituency has the most roads.
In the country?
Yes. This constituency has the most. And we pretty much had zero. We're coming from zero, so it's really building from scratch.
Yes.
I've made a number of strides so far, but it's still not enough. We need more time and we need more resources. But so far we've been able to make impact on some of the major roads And the people are happy about that. They're very thankful. And we continue the project because almost every day I have to be intervening in another community or so to try to alleviate problems and solutions.
Last Friday, I had a town hall in Portmore at the Heart Academy, and two of your colleagues were there on the government benches, Robert Miller and Alanda Trelawny. And what Miller was saying to me especially was that his problem was trying to get roads done that that properly rather, is the responsibility of the local authority, the Portmore Municipal Corporation. And then he spoke of him taking the initiative and finding creative ways to get around what he says is their barrier. And he's fixed more roads than are due to be fixed by him. But he says on others which are crying out for attention, he says the municipal corporation has blocked him. What's the interaction between yourself and the local authorities in North Trelawny where roads are concerned?
I've had some challenges. But I try to go around the challenges creatively. At the end of the day, it's the people who must win. At the end of the day, it's the people who must benefit. So I can't allow a stumbling block to prevent me from trying to solve a problem for the people. So I always have to try to get around that. But it is a fact that the parochial roads are of major concern, which is why the government has implemented Spark. That is the only project I see now that can make significant strides in communities. And I mean, I think that's the same for everybody. When I fix a parochial road, it means I have to take resources from the main road to do so. But the main road is left still wanting. And, you know, I'm going to be cost out just the same for not fixing the main road. So I try to strike a balance as best as I can. Where I can do a parochial road, I do it. But I try to stick to the main roads because you impact everybody by doing that as well.
So when it is that, do you get the impression that your constituents understand which road is in your gift to fix, is under your thumb, and which roads are the parish council roads? So all right, don't blame her for that, don't cuss her for that, cuss her for this one.
Some do, but I will say for the majority, absolutely not. I think we had an interaction just now from a gentleman wanting to find out about a particular road, why I'm not fixing it. But it's really not my responsibility to fix it, and they don't understand that. So they really don't understand the roles of councillor versus member of parliament. And it is something that I think we need to work on.
At this rate, MP, how long do you think you would need? You're in the chair as MP. How many cycles do you think you would need at the current rate at which you're working and at which development is happening to significantly address the two biggest problems in the constituency?
If I'm going to be fair, I think we'd need at least 3 terms. I personally would need at least 3 terms working at the pace that I'm working now. I'm hoping that we can resolve as much of the problems that we have maybe in 2 terms. So who knows? Let us see what happens.
And on that basis, you go back to ask the people not too long from now. We don't know when the Prime Minister is ready. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
But you're preparing to go back. Are you going back in good shape?
I am going back in a better shape than I got the constituency in, and I think for the most part people are cognizant of that. I think the people recognize that I've been doing some work and trying to help. So I think they understand, and I think they will do their best to ensure that I continue the work.
Your rivals, the PNP, have sent a name brand politician, as we call him in some parts, brand name politician come. Dr. Wickham McNeil, no ordinary fellow, a man who commands great respect, former tourism minister, and a man who was a stalwart for the PNP in Westmoreland. That's a big challenge on paper. Is it turning out to be a big challenge for you in reality on the ground?
I'll wait on election day to answer that question.
Council must give me something more than that.
I'll wait on election day to answer that question. The people will respond.
Is your organization ready?
We are almost there, but we're at a good place now, and I think after this weekend we'll be in a better position.
And if I were to, last question before you go, if I were to pull a constituent at random, one who is interested in the political process, interfaces with it, but is neither JLP nor PNP, although they are making up their mind to vote based on what they see. What do you think such a constituent would say MP Hamilton has done well in her time in the chair?
Well, they would say, boy, the MP are trying. The MP are do some work. We see what she's doing and we see what she's trying to do, and we will support her.
All right, I hear you on that. Council not
Yes.
giving me much this afternoon. She mean with this stingy. I wish you all the best. And it is, people should understand that for years, governments and political representatives did not have resources to really pay attention to the
True.
things that needed to be done.
Yes.
So people who expect miracles in one cycle
People are anxious.
are not, you know?
They're anxious, and,
Yes.
and rightly so. I
Yes.
mean, I can't really blame them because
Yes.
if you've been in a particular position for decades, you get frustrated.
Yes.
And you want solutions right now, especially when you're dealing with water. Water is life.
Yes.
You know, you don't want to be without a resource like that.
Yes.
So I do understand, but what we always do is appeal for patience
Yes.
because we can't fix everything overnight.
Did say the last one, but I have to squeeze this one in. Where youth unemployment is concerned in North Trelawny, the national average for youth unemployment is well under 12%, if my
Yes.
memory serves me right. Does North Trelawny's profile accord with the national picture where unemployment and youth
I
unemployment
believe
is
it does.
concerned?
I think most of our young people are actually employed, who want to be employed. I
Yes.
should put it that way.
Critical distinction.
We did a farm work recruitment recently, and a lot of people who came are already in jobs.
Yes.
So it's really people looking for other opportunities, but they are employed. So I believe that we are within that national average.
Mirroring the national average.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. All the best to you.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Tova Hamilton there, Member of Parliament for North Trelawny. Of course, she's an attorney at law. Break time here on Nationwide 90 FM. Back with more after these.
Learn how local gov is working for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel MLGCDJATV and visit our website www.localgovjamaica.gov.jm. The time by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is
3:01.
Nationwide 90 FM keeps you updated every hour on the hour. It's Jamaica in 60 seconds.
Good afternoon, I'm Nora Gay Banton with Jamaica in 60 Seconds. A soldier who was dishonorably discharged from the Jamaica Defence Force was one of two people slain at a candlelight vigil in Essex, St. Mary on Thursday night. That is 28-year-old Shaquille Harris, otherwise called Nick or Big Red. A 22-year-old woman, Tiffany Dowse, otherwise called Nikki, was also killed during the incident. Over $7.5 million in rewards was paid out by Crime Stop Jamaica last year. That's according to the 2024 Economic and Social Survey published by the Planning Institute of Jamaica, PIOJ. The survey was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. According to the report, Crime Stop received 867 tips last year. And the long-delayed 2022 Population and Housing Census should be published by September. Acting Director General of the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Leisha Delatibadere, made the announcement on Thursday. That's Jamaica in 60 Seconds. I'm Nora Gay Banton. News next at 4 p.m.
All right, so you heard the headlines at 3 there presented by Nora Gabe Banton. Western Resilience Water Project, the formal program has started, and the welcome is being delivered by Michael Shaw, Chairman of the National Water Commission.
In commerce, water, as you know, is the foundation of all progress. Don't take this thing lightly. This project spans over 100 kilometers of pipeline network and further strengthens the NWC's effort to interconnect communities, service corridors from Negril Point in the west right across the island to the borders of St. Mary and Portland in the east. These interconnections have positioned NWC to respond swiftly, efficiently, and reliably to Jamaicans and to their needs. In spite of the ravages of where we live in the Caribbean, we continue to work hard to strengthen our structures. Indeed, the Western Resilience Water Project will be the greatest contributor to achievement of NWC strategic objective that we will continue to work with throughout this year. It will increase customer satisfaction and public image, increase our operational efficiencies and service reliability, improve coverage, revenues, which is my baby, cash flow. It will improve staff and institutional capacity. As chairman, I wish to commend the teams, the technical team, the operational team, the administrative team, the minister who will lose sleep every night as we call him to ensure that this continues, all our partners who are the project operators. We want to say to you, thanks. We're holding you accountable for the deliverables. To our investors out there, I want to encourage them to start to write the checks, because this is going to happen. This is going to happen. It is going to bring water to well-needed communities, so you can start to build hotels. You can start to build the cafes. You can start to build the restaurants along the corridor. You are going to get water. So today, we break ground not just on infrastructure, but an opportunity, a resilience, and a future for a better Jamaica. Welcome once again, and thank you for sharing this momentous occasion with us. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And may I have another round of applause for him? Multi-billion dollars that will change Jamaica forever. And that is a very bold statement. And we look forward to everything coming to fruition. Thanks again, Mr. Shaw. At this time, we have a video presentation highlighting the overview of the project. Please turn your attention to the screens.
The best way to predict the future is to create it. That's why the government of Jamaica, through the NWC and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, MEGJC, is taking steps to ensure that substantial parts of Western Jamaica will be water resilient to meet not only immediate but long-term demand. This will be done through the Western Resilience Water Project, a revolutionary, groundbreaking water investment initiative that will yield life-changing positive benefits for current and future generations. The focus of the project is to boost reliability and consistency in water supply along the Western Parishes Corridor, which is the project area. The geographical location of the project area: it runs from the Roaring River in Westmoreland on the western section to the Bogue Water Treatment Plant in St. Anne in the northeastern area of the island. Vinci Construction Grand Projects is the contractor for the project, and Timothy Delabar is Vinci's country manager.
So, the Western Water Resilience Project is a combination of different types of work that are aimed at improving the water system in the northwestern parishes of Jamaica, that being Trelawny, St. James, Hanover, and Westmoreland. It is composed of 3 phases at the moment: one pipeline phase, one expansion of the water treatment capacity at 2 treatment plants, and a third one adding another treatment plant and another pipeline. All of that to improve production and the transmission and the distribution of potable water for those 4 parishes.
The overall budget for the project is approximately $67.5 billion. The budget for phase 1 is approximately $28 billion.
The pipeline phase is a 3-year component. We intend to start the detailed designs and site investigations as early as August, and I will go for a duration of 3 to 4 months. We expect the first batch of pipelines, they're manufactured abroad, and so we will bring them in hopefully before the end of the year, and the pipe laying work will start at different locations, starting at the end of this year, going for the next 2.5 years after that.
The Western Resilience Water Project is a strategic investment in the future that takes into account climatological events, state-of-the-art technology is a crucial component of the project.
The project will bring in new ductile iron pipes, which are known for their longevity, their resistance to corrosion, their resistance to earth movement, and their resistance to pressure. These pipelines will be on different diameter, but they will be an upsize of the existing infrastructure. So it will, one, guarantee the longevity of the new infrastructure and the capacity, so that we can move more water through these lines.
That makes me ecstatic, and I hope that with the bigger pipes come bigger pumps so that the water pressure can increase as well. Because on days that we do have the water, the pressure may be a little not wonderful because again it's on the hill, but that would be very good so that at the end of the day we can consume the water more regularly and not have to worry to try to get our chores done in terms of scheduling whenever we're going to have water again.
It is key to understand that Jamaica is well equipped with infrastructure, but it suffers from aging infrastructure. So the first point is you have to be able to renew infrastructure before they finish their life expectancy, if you see what I mean. The second is we have a growing population, even more on the northwestern parishes where there's a center of tourism, mass tourism in Jamaica, and therefore the demand is high. And third, we also suffer from climate change, and therefore the rain don't come where we want them to come. There are challenges in terms of quantity of rain and when they fall, so it's important to adapt the infrastructure and have the vision so that we can plan for the years coming rather than trying to catch up from the...
That view of a growing demand is supported by a resident of Trelawny, Ricardo Comrie.
I'm near the commercial area. I'm in the middle. I'm seeing about 7 or 8 apartment complex going up. Also, on the other side of the road from about the Trelawny signs to the Falmouth sign, there's a lot of commercial spaces. So it's needed, the infrastructure is needed. A lot of times, a lot of developments happen and I don't think about the right to live, which is water. And most persons say, hey, I'd rather have the water than the light. And so it's needed because, you can do without light for a couple of times, but you don't have to do without the water. So it's a much needed project. I commend the NWC for doing this, and I look forward to getting a wonderful water supply that it was before.
Getting to a point where the project can now be executed involved several but necessary administrative processes. Glester Cunningham, the NWC's Vice President for Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring, explains.
So there is a unit within what is called the Enterprise Development and Performance Monitoring Division, and that's called the Public-Private Partnerships and Project Finance Unit. In this case, they were responsible for the preparation of the PIAB submission, which allowed us to enter the project in the Public Investment Management System to be financed by the Government of Jamaica. PIAB is a Public Investment Advisory Board. It's being funded by the Government of Jamaica. It's a significant investment, a US $176 million project.
Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Sir Honorable Matthew Samuda, played a pivotal role in the realization of this pioneering water project.
After some significant lobbying on the part of President and the Executive, the Minister with responsibility for water, Honorable Matthew Samuda, he is a champion for us, to be honest. And he sought the support from his fellow parliamentarians, our cabinet members, to find support for the NWC for this very, very important project. As I said, it's along the north coast, along the tourism belt, very, very important economically. Supports about 188,000 local residents. Well over 1 million tourists visit that part of the island on an annual basis. It's a significant investment for us.
And now everyone, including today's generation, is looking forward to the benefits to flow. Meet Jeremiah Clark Medina, an aspiring future medical doctor.
I think it's a very big thing, and I've been talking to my friends recently that Falmouth needs a lot of help, actually, so I think it's very important. 5 years from now, I see myself finishing NCU and hopefully getting into medical school. Becoming a professional, you don't have to have that worry that water is a problem. So you can focus on the other important stuff,
It's a view shared by another young person who hails from St. James.
that's actually good. You know, in the area that I live in, St. James, in the country area, it's not really running water. It's there in my community and I have access to it. However, because a lot of people are on the line and the pressure is not so good, it's kind of say one person is using it and then another person doesn't have water and then the person stop using and they operate so it's kind of like a thing. And then some areas of the community have full access to the water and other areas do not.
As part of the project, there will be the construction of the new Rio Bueno water treatment plant and the installation of a transmission main to benefit sections of St. Anne, including Runaway Bay and Ocho Rios. That development is being uploaded.
For growth. So if you guys really want to come in here and do it fast, because I want this thing to continue. I don't want to have any problem with water supply. Especially for my business, I don't want to have water turn off and the people can't use the bathroom and stuff like that. So I really wish you guys get it together and get it together good.
That would be great because there's so many areas in Runaway Bay that still don't have water, and water is at a central location and then persons have to go to that location to get water. So that would be an excellent idea.
The Western Resilience Water Improvement Project. It's about people-centered development. It's about quality service delivery. It's about improving lives.
By improving the water supply in the community, it will be very much appreciated. So because I'm paying up to about $10,000 like monthly for water supply in my community.
The NWC, through its parent ministry, the MEGJC, serving Jamaica in so many ways. The best way to predict the future.
Bold and transformative, our overview of the Western Resilience Water Project. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand with me as we make welcome our Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. And we see how wide-ranging this project is going to be, and the many, many, many communities that this will touch in the near future. And that's such a great thing. Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. And having welcomed our Prime Minister, we're going to continue with the program. At this time, we are going to hear from Mr. Timothy Delebar, Country Manager, Vinci Construction Grand Projects. Put your hands together for him as he comes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. I am so pleased to see us all gathered here in Trelawny. And this place is special to my heart. This is where my Jamaican career started 20 odd years ago. A wise man once told me, that's back in 2005, that Jamaica needed a ring pipe. A pipe that can move water across the island to address the regional and seasonal shortfall. This wise man goes by the name of E.G. Hunter, former NWC president. Well, I'm pleased to share with you an exciting new chapter for Vinci Construction and the National Water. Last year, we were awarded the contract for the solution to improve the flexibility in the transfer phase. It enabled us to design an optimal solution to build, and it aims at interconnecting the different cities along the North Coast. So EG's vision is coming to reality. The purpose of the project is clear. It's in the name of the program, Western Water Resilience Program. It is to aim at making the Western parishes more resilient by replacing the aging infrastructure, by significantly improving the supply of potable water across Jamaica northwestern parishes. And the need is urgent. Demand is rising, is driven by population growth, thriving tourism sector, economic development, and is challenged by climate change and shifting rainfall patterns, and is placing additional stress on an already struggling system. This phase of the program consists in the design and construction of major new transmission pipeline, and the project stretches from Falmouth to Negril. It includes the supply and the installation of ductile iron pipeline, 500 millimeter, 600 millimeter, 700 and 800 millimeter, so large trunk mains. That makes it the largest pipeline project in the history of Jamaica. And the work will span over 3 years. Our teams and the local subcontractors will carry out extensive pipelaying works all along the North Coast Main Road. We're fully committed to minimize traffic disruption, and for that we'll engage with stakeholders at an early stage. We'll have to put strong traffic management measures to ensure the safety of our working team, the road users, and the public. We're also deeply aware of the environmental sensitivity of the region. The North Coast is a national treasure. We will take every precaution to protect its natural beauty and its biodiversity through the project. I would like to extend our sincere thanks to the government of Jamaica, to the National Water Commission. Thank you for your trust, thank you for your collaboration, and thank you for your bold vision. Launching a project of this scale and doing so in such record time, this is no small feat. We also thank all stakeholders and partners supporting this effort. As the chairman mentioned earlier, I think this project, we're not only building infrastructure, we are truly building resilience, opportunity, and stronger and better future for the people of Jamaica. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Timothy Delabar. And he is the country manager for Vinci Construction Grand Projects. Now, I'm glad you gave some warning so that persons know that there is going to be pain in pleasure. So it's not just going to happen overnight. You should anticipate a little bit of discomfort at some point in time, but it is all for the overall good at the end of the day. So the folks will have to be patient and be cooperative when it comes to traffic and all of that. And I'm really very happy that part of the consideration is the maintenance of the biodiversity and the natural beauty of the country. So thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a video presentation. This time, we're going to look at the impact of the project. Please turn your attention to the screen.
A new day is dawning for several communities in Western Jamaica. The Western Resilience Water Project is a game changer to improve the level of quality potable water for several major towns such as Savannah-la-Mar and Negril in Westmoreland, Montego Bay, Onshore and Rosewall in St. James, and Duncan's in Trelawny, just to name a few. As part of the overall project, existing transmission mains will be replaced and or rehabilitated. treatment plants, namely Martha Brae in Trelawny and Great River in St. James, will be expanded to increase water production capacity. Over in Westmoreland, there will be the expansion of the Roaring River Venture Water Treatment Plant and Transmission Main, while in St. Anne, residents can look forward to the construction of the new Rio Bueno Water Treatment Plant and the installation of a transmission main. These are large-scale water infrastructural developments that will positively impact lives and livelihoods. As the government breaks ground for phase 1 of the project that focuses on upgrading the existing transmission main between Montego Bay Great River Water Treatment Plant in St. James to the Queens of Spain new Martha Brae Water Treatment Plant system in Trelawny, it must be noted that it took hard work to get to this point. Marlene Malahoo folks should know. She's the current Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. Prior to this, however, she wore a different hat and worked alongside the Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, to bring the project to a decisive juncture.
So the water project was declared a national project, a national strategic project, and that was done with let's just say, I ensure that it got to the Parliament on time. And interestingly, for a long time, many were not sure how to proceed with projects like those. When I was in the role of Attorney General, I advised the government on an approach to take, and that has really made it possible for the mega projects to go through the system without glitches. So the water project is one of those projects, and I was happy to work alongside Minister Matthew Samuda to ensure that the order came to Parliament, which would then take it outside of the cumbersome procurement process and to the place where we can now do what needs to be done.
She's also the Member of Parliament for St. James West Central. The constituency will benefit from the project.
I have said to my St. James West Central constituents that the government has been working to deal with the water problem, and that in a short period of time, the water issues will be behind us. So in St. James West Central, we have the Great River plant. And in the neighboring Trelawny, we have the Martha Brae plant. And then over in Westmoreland, we have Logwood. So this project is going to be dealing with all of the issues from Trelawny into St. James over into Westmoreland, Hanover, of course, in between too. And I'm really excited because it was not just talk, but there is process and there is event. And the water infrastructure has been old, dilapidated, just no investment for many years. So we have water, but we don't have the infrastructure that will store the water properly, channel the water, distribute it, you name it, all parts of it. So I'm really excited because, we just underestimate the misery factor when you turn on your pipes and you can't see the water.
The Western Parishes Corridor, which is a project area, is also central to Jamaica's tourism industry. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett notes that the project will benefit not only residents, but also the tourism industry. He's the Member of Parliament for St. James East Central.
We're very excited about the prospects of having adequate water supply in the Western Parishes. My constituency really suffers, as is well known, and the Martha Brae source, which is the largest source in Western Jamaica, except of course for the Black River, which is on the southwestern side. But the Martha Brae, certainly for the northwestern side, is the largest source. And we are very elated by the fact that the government has enabled, a resource support that will guarantee now the Western Parishes to have adequate potable water. And that's more than a critical fillip, because the bigger picture is that the communities around must not feel
that they are denied water while the resource have it. So to ensure that there's adequacy of supply for both is absolutely ideal.
A project of this magnitude is quite necessary, as several of the pipelines are old. They break often, and there are leaks along the transmission mains. Representative of Westmoreland Western Moreland Wilson is quite familiar with this reality and underscores the importance of the project to residents.
This is magnanimous. I mean, for people in Western Jamaica, in particular Negril, this is welcome news. And if you speak to some of them, they will tell you that this is long overdue. Negril and Western Jamaica in particular has been suffering from water shortage for the better part of the last 30 years. In fact, we haven't had any major investment in our water infrastructure in that side of the island for quite some time. I think the last project was in Bulstad, in the constituency of Westmoreland Western. And for that reason, we have seen where the population has grown. We have seen where development has taken place with businesses. Hotels have come into this space, have expanded, and that all had led to water in greater demand. We have not had the consequence or the reciprocal investment, and that is why this project is so important.
As part of the project, there will be additional production capacity at the new Marthabury water treatment plant in Trelawny. This is part of several benefits for the people of that parish. Clover Hamilton is the representative for Trelawny Northern, and she is looking forward to the impact of the project on the lives of residents.
I will say that the Western Resilience Project is what real transformation looks like. I think having steady, reliable water in communities is very good, especially for communities that have been waiting for far too long. I think it is groundbreaking. I think residents will be very happy. We do have a water problem in Trelawny Northern, and I am hoping that a few communities will stop having anxiety at nights. I will declare though that we do have some areas that I would really love the NWC to have additional look on. But for this project, I'm very happy about it. I'm pleased. There are communities that are looking forward. And I will just hope that we will continue to choose Jamaican, choose vision and choose prosperity, and that water is not a luxury, it is a right.
Water is life. The commodity is precious. Member of Parliament for St. James Central Hero Clark believes that residents will appreciate the investment.
This is going to make sure that the old lines are taken out. We are going to put in bigger lines to take more water into the communities so that the resident will feel a lot comfortable.
Member of Parliament for Hanover Western Tamika Davis also believes the Western Resilience Water Project will go a far way to address the water challenges of that constituency.
This is absolutely great news. As you may be aware, in Western Hanover, we have challenges with water, and it is just great news because, as I understand it, the leg from Great River to Negril will be improved, and that is just great news. We are looking forward to the implementation and execution of this, and I know everyone in Hanover, be it Eastern or Western, will benefit greatly from this project.
Dave Brown, the Member of Parliament for Hanover Eastern, agrees.
It's a win-win for all, especially persons in the Hanover belt, because we have always had this issue where we have been bypassed by persons claim that we have been bypassed by the Great River Water Supply System, which runs through the constituency or the parish.
The NWC partnering with MegJC to ensure.
All right, Western Resilience Water Project. And just sharing there with some of our members of Parliament who understand how impactful this project is going to be. And we didn't see Dr. Chang up there, but we know that his constituency is also very much impacted, and it's going to be a blessing, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe. At this time, let me bring him to the lectern to speak with us. Our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Horace Chang. Put your hands together for him. Make him welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
First, let me the shirt makers don't make my size shirts now. A little bit too small. You know. I don't recognize under Honorable Andrew Michael Honest, our Prime Minister. Welcome to this parish of Trelawny, the Western region, as you're always. My colleague ministers, Minister Ed Bartlett, Minister of Tourism and Neighboring Constituency, and Minister Samuda, who was on the way to the West, he decided to stop in St. Anne. Member of Parliament, and my colleague, Eeyore Clark from Montego Bay Central, Deputy Speaker of the House, MP Tober Hamilton, the councillors or the officials present, of course, Chairman of the Water Commission, the Managing Director of Vinci, my good friend Timothy de la Barre. Oh, Homer, you're on this far right, so you get to this far now. My colleague, Minister Homer Davis from Southern St. James, and many distinguished visitors and members of constituents from all across Western Jamaica, in particular Trelawny and St. James. Good afternoon to you. I'm not sure why I was once selected to speak up here, but first let me say I'm allowed to make a few remarks, and the appropriate person will introduce the Prime Minister who needs an introduction. And my remarks may be interpreted by some in a different light, but we're a democratic country and elections are due this year, and every one of you have to make a decision in relation to your future and the future of the country. I think one of the things we do by the traditional loyalties is we get out there and we vote, because I'm a member of the Labour Party for many years, so to the other members here, and they are members of the PNP. But we're a developing country, and I think I'd like to make a remark as to how to remind ourselves that government matters, policy matters, and the program matters for the country and where we're going. I think I was asked to speak this morning because I've had some relations with water. And I met Timothy while I was Minister of Water, and his good friend, late Etienne. And so did I meet EG2 and the Managing Director of Water Commission. Water is life, and that's a truism. It's one of the elements you cannot live without for very long. And it is critical to development. I think Falmouth as a city had one of the first water development in the island. 1799, I think, was they started. At that time, that water supply was not only adequate, it was almost more than adequate. It came from the Martha Brae and made Falmouth one of the more prosperous and central points in the North Coast. But country develops and systems must evolve. Eventually that went awry. I think aspect of it that hangs around like historical venues in the banks of the Martha Brae. Later on, the country created two water companies, National Water Authority governed the rural areas with a series of systems, and then there was a corporate area system at the time, Kingston St. Andrew water supply system. In 1980, the new government of Jamaica Labour Party, Mr. Edward created the National Water Commission, designed to provide a national body to supply the entire land and do it at a professional level where you needed engineers, people who understand hydrology and others to develop a water system. That means not only developing production, but adequate distribution to meet the growing demand of a developing country and also contribute to the growth of the country. That, of course, required a government that understood the demands of development and continued this. So, in fact, very early on, the system was the old Martha Brae system came out of that National Water Commission. I had the privilege of being in the Water Commission in the first iteration of the Labour Party government between 2007 and 2011. By then, of course, the entire island had inadequate systems. It's a fact. This is not a personal or political issue, it's just a fact of life. And we initiated a program which was calculated to cost the country about $3 billion to begin to take our water supply system not only to be more resilient, as indicated in the title for the Western Resilient Water Project, but to provide adequate supply. And during that short 5-year term, of course, the cost of infrastructure on that side was never really thought about. So it took us a little while, but I was able to commit near $700 million to water, and that's where we met Vinci. We activated another 2 projects associated with that. There was the KSA project for over $100 million, and we had a project from the Japanese for $89 billion. And in a 12-month period, we were able to negotiate with Vinci and did it along similar lines as a national project and start a project that prevented the entire corporate area from running out of water. It is hard to envisage that, but it didn't happen, so nobody appreciated it. Well, we had to rebuild the entire Constant Spring plant, which supplies 18 million gallons of water to Kingston. It was down to 10. And Kingston was going through a period in 2009 when water at University Hospital, the schools on that side of Kingston were closed in half day and sometimes not open at all. Well, we resolved that, but behind that, we had designed enough, we had committed enough plan or designed enough to extend water across that, including the system. In fact, we worked closely with engineers and designed a system that said would require about $3 billion US. The government changed and everything stopped, like you turn a door and lock the key with a key. They were able to complete the project in the corporate area, Jamaica Water Sector Improvement Project, which those some Kingston are aware of and the water commissioners are aware of, which ensured that we have water in Kingston to drink today. Nothing was done otherwise to continue a program which was crucial to the development of the country. I said the project in the Water Commission just stopped. Like you close the door and lock the key with the key. And that is a fact of history. And not doing what it is. Government change, plans change, programs change, and the entire rehabilitation of the water system stopped. And it was inevitable that we got to this point. And when I keep you all day, how long my Prime Minister speak, got other implications for the corporate area. But that project, those projects that are initiated on the Jamaica Water Sector Improvement, activated in the KSA program, which, interestingly, and why government and leadership matters, and we're going to hear the Prime Minister why, the funding for the KSA program sat in the Bank of Jamaica for 9 years and was not used. 9 long years without being used. The reports I had to go over that. The JICA program was on for nearly 7 years, and when it was completed, the Japanese ambassador called me to thank me for ensuring it was executed. Those projects ensure that Kingston had water. In fact, we have had no more complaints in Spanish Town, and aspects of the supply of Kingston, there's still a problem, is being dealt with by the current minister, the Prime Minister. But had we continued the program, and it's not a program, it is a nebulous program in the air. It is something that, if you go to the engineering department at Vinci, they have designs. If you go to the Water Commission, they have them documented, that we could have executed. All it took was a decision. It required a decision by the government every day to make that we needed to institute these activities. We would never have had the problem we're having today. It is today I got up this morning to indicate I'm getting ready to come to Trelawny. Well, the first news I got from my minister was that the main line from Martlebury to Montego Bay break again. It is so old, once you put the pressure on it, bust right before the police station, one more pipeline gone. Which means my entire constituency of a population of 100,000 is without water, without running water. It's not like a little rural district where you want running water, but you can set a truck of water in there and they get water. You can fill a tank on the roadside and some people will catch on this. Primitive, but they will get water. There's no way you can truck water to 100,000 people. We're talking there 20,000 houses. My colleague Ira Clark is in the same boat. There's no water between Central and Northwest St. James. My friend Ed Bartlett has major problem, but not the 100%. He's got Africa area. Right? So too my colleague who spoke earlier, Ms. Marlene Ford. And that is all because this system should have been changed a long time ago. And that's why I say without apology, government matters, leadership matters. How do we continue to execute on the program of rehabilitation for the Water Commission? This would not have happened. This would not, what happened in Montego Bay would not be happening. And therefore it is to the commendation of not the Water Commission, but to the Prime Minister, who have initiated a program of this sort to ensure Jamaica's infrastructure is resilient, but not only resilient, is future-proof. so that Minister Bartlett can seek negotiation to build hotels that there'll be water, not broke remains every time the hotel come on. A hotel takes, of the size being built, like at out by Anshore, will require up to 3 million gallons of water per day to keep active. But you cannot wait until the hotel is built to put the water there. Our guests will come and leave while the hotel not open. And that's why government matters. So I'm not asked to where to vote or what to, but think about what you do, because this is a democracy. So I'm not talking to the General Secretary this morning. I'm talking to a public servant, the elected public servant, because sometimes we just sit down, nothing will go on, and nothing will happen. Government matters and leadership matters. Okay? Check. Strong leadership for the Prime Minister to commit this kind of money. $176 billion here. It's the only government that's committed this kind of money. In 2008, 2009, it was a Labour Party government that committed $211 million to ensure that Kingston still have water to drink. And the process, when we were doing the infrastructure and highways, initiated large funding to complete that process in there. So today I'm very pleased to be here, despite of the challenge of this morning, when I said my constituency have no water. And because it's an urban area, we do have water trucks around too much, and the water trucks themselves are old, you're in trouble. And I can't say what I have to do, but I find trucks that have tanks and tell them go get water out there. And of course, I want to thank the Water Commission leadership in Montego Bay to allow me to allow those trucks to go to the water, because I have to get water in the community. Advise the community to take the water, and if they want to drink, they will boil it or they'll buy drinking water. But they need water for a lot of things, and we have had to commandeer, literally, trucks around Montego Bay, and we're getting some water out. And I have to give thanks to the Water Commission. We're not supposed to just give out water like that, but in the face of what we have, they're incorporating. But this morning, it's certainly pleasing to be here as we launch the Western Resilience Water Project, which will see the pipeline laid out by the Vice President of Vinci, who is here in charge of Jamaica, across the northwestern region. Ultimately, we'll have to do the circle for the island, Timothy, and maybe you're young enough to be here, and we'll be there long enough to start it. I'm confident this Prime Minister will ensure we start the process. We may not go right around the island immediately, but we're going to take some of all this water on the north side and get to the south. But the entire north coast, the western region, and the south coast will have adequate potable water. Jamaica has adequate potable water. What we need is the infrastructure to produce and distribute. And this government, under the leadership of Andrew Holness, is committed to ensuring that, because water is fundamental to development in any society. Again, Marisa, I'm looking straight at you and you'll come. You're sitting without the yellow shirt and the green, I greeted you earlier. My member of parliament from the south, who has tremendous water problem. She will not benefit from this one, but I think the Cross River is coming very nearby. Right? There's work being done to ensure the communities have water. In fact, Ms. Hampton was sitting on a little bit happy to see this water project, tell him that all over North London of the water and the coastline, the hotels have water, she want water. But I will venture to anticipate my minister, who has a lot of things to talk about, and tell her that the Bounty Hall should be operational today, and we'll come back at it. And that's the water she wants to think. Right? Ensure it is going. The commitment of the government, of this government, is to ensure that the basic infrastructure is in place to accommodate development for commercial and residential. There are big issues that Andrew Holness had to face as Prime Minister. Infrastructure, roadways, he's building highways. We started discussing the perimeter road in 2003. It is 20 years later, Andrew Holness as Prime Minister started that road to bring relief and development opportunities to Montego Bay and create the congestion that down there. Water we're discussing all along. In fact, in that same era, and he has committed to doing it. We have been dealing with the murder rates of over 1,000 from 2020. With his investment, the policy created that he has directed to me as National Security Minister, we see murder rate going down. And in urban areas, Like my constituency, we see night activities again, from futsal to prayer meetings, active, and people go about their business peacefully. It is his commitment to tackle the big challenges and provide the foundation of development. This is one more major project using Jamaica's money, because the giant in the room was always how you manage the economy. And this project is being financed by dollars and cents from the taxpayers' money. So when all the talk is around, it's your money. Jamaicans can talk again, even without any increase in tax for 9 years, that across the country we are doing major infrastructure projects. Not a little dibby some, not a little crash program. People are getting real jobs in hotels, real jobs everywhere. And at the same time, we are seeing our infrastructure go to development levels. That's the commitment of our Prime Minister. And I want to say, it's my privilege and pleasure to be beside him. And it's a privilege this morning to again be participating in one more major project built by Labour for the people of Jamaica. I thank you all. Have a good afternoon and a good day. Choose Jamaica correctly.
Thank you very much. Our Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Honorable Dr. Horace Chang. Thank you for giving us a little bit of the history, taking us back and putting things into perspective as we work to future-proofing our water infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Matthew Samuda is Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. He is with us this afternoon, and it is my pleasure to bring him to the lectern. Please put your hands together for him.
Thank you, Madam Master of Ceremonies. Allow me to briefly acknowledge the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Andrew Holness, Deputy Prime Minister Horace Chang, Minister Ed Bartlett, colleague Minister Homer Davis, MPs, especially Madam Tova Hilton and Marissa Dalrymple Philibert. Thank you for having us in Trelawny this afternoon. Allow me to also acknowledge the senior management team of the National Water Commission and indeed the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation led by Madam Arlene Williams. Of course, allow me to welcome Vinci, and I will dive into the substance of the presentation. Now, a lot has been made about the transformational nature of this project. And before we get into the substance of this project, one of the issues I would like to deal with frontally, Madam MP, is that often when you do these national projects that see water going across parish borders, going across constituency borders, the question is asked, as it was asked of us at the Pepper Wells, Prime Minister, why are you moving my water and I have particular challenges within proximity? So, Madam MP, before we get into the substance of this particular project, I'm happy to report that the issues that you're facing in Bounty Hall will be resolved before the end of July. The Bounty Hall system has a 2 million gallon tank, and that tank is being reconfigured and fixed. We are installing standby pumps, and we're also doing some pipe work. This will boost supply within this area to Bounty Hall with over an additional 1 million gallons daily, Madam MP. So as your constituents listen, and those listen externally and certainly nationally, we want them to understand that we're also fixing the smaller systems in both northern and southern Trelawny. We're not taking your water and moving elsewhere. We're also fixing the distribution issues within this constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a transformational national project. This project is a commitment made, a commitment kept. This project is truly a national strategic development project. Now, what it is a genuine transformation of water distribution along the north coast. And that transformation will benefit residential customers, it will benefit commercial customers. And oftentimes when you talk about water challenges in Negril because of the logwood treatment plant, persons can't quite wrap their minds around why are we also speaking about Martha Brae? Why are we speaking about Agwater Vale in St. Mary? Why are we speaking about the White River treatment plant on the boundary with St. Mary and St. Anne? Why are we speaking about Great River? Because they seem so far away. And I think Timothy, in his earlier presentation, and certainly Dr. Chang, would have explained that this project seeks to achieve interlinkage between our varying water sources across the length and breadth of the North Coast. And it truly seeks to achieve resilience brought about from stable water supply. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a massive undertaking that is a subset of a broader transformation taking place within the water sector in Jamaica. Because of a well-run National Water Commission chairman and members of the board, and because of a well-run economy, Prime Minister, this government, your government, is indeed investing 22 billion Jamaican dollars currently in open transactions, in open construction into the water sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what does that mean for Jamaicans? That investment comes on the back of previous investments, which since 2016 has seen 350,000 Jamaicans have better water supply today than they did then. But the $22 billion that we are underway with now is a subset of what we will do over the next 5 years to improve and build in resilience for water supply for some 900,000 Jamaicans. You see, a good economy, apparently, as you said, Prime Minister, can yam, but it can drink with the water supply that we are providing to Jamaicans also. Now, this specific project, the Western Resilience Water Project, Minister Bartlett, came about from many discussions. It came through many iterations. But to be fair to members of the JHTA and certainly the Negril Chamber of Commerce, who loudly advocated, and very positively so, because we are in a democracy and we must listen to citizens and respond to their needs. But the urgency came about with last year's drought in the northwest tip of the island, when the Logwood facility in Hanover was producing at some times less than 10% of its capacity. Now, that came about because of significant climate realities. The climate has changed, our weather patterns have shifted. We've even seen some hydraulic flows shift. Now, that prompted a discussion. It prompted us to look at the entire system along the North Coast. And born of that is this project today, which this particular ceremony signifies the beginning of phase 1 of implementation. This particular project, or this phase of this project, will invest 28 billion Jamaican dollars in 2 transmission mains that will move water from the Martha Brae to the terminal reservoir in the center of St. James, which will transform the water supply in Montego Bay and its environs. Minister Bartlett, I'll come to Irwin Heights and Ryan Park shortly, because they will benefit too. So if you're in Westgate Hills, you will benefit too. If you are in Lucy, you will benefit. And you say, well, how do I benefit in Lucy? Well, because we'll no longer be pumping water into the ground from leaking pipes going into Montego Bay, there will be less pressure on Great River. Now, okay, well, there'll be less pressure on Great River to pump easterly. But we also acknowledge that the pipelines going into the west end of Negril, all the way from Great River, are also old. Many of these pipelines were laid actually in 1982, a little bit before I was born. So the truth is, this should have happened. This ceremony is about 23 years late, because we should have started this process in 2002. But if we acknowledge where we are, because of mistakes and misadventures of the past, we are now at that point where we're able to invest properly. So we will also be changing the transmission mains fully and totally from Lucy to the west end of Negril. There will be repairs and some replacements from the Great River Treatment Plant itself into Lucy. Now, that is 68 kilometers total of pipe. At some points it will be as large as 36 inches. At other points it will be 24 inches of ductile iron pipes. Now, these are massive pipes. There will be dislocation while we do this work. But Prime Minister, I have minuted, and I see members of the JHTA here, in our consultations, they said, you don't worry about the traffic when you're laying those pipes, because we need the pipes, Minister. I have that minuted. So I assure you we won't have any complaints about traffic during the construction phase of this project. But that is just phase one of a true transformation of the water distribution and production and total systems of the North Coast. Phase two will see significant increases in capacity and improvements in quality of water production. That will happen with the construction of 2 new water treatment plants, which we have engaged the World Bank for assistance. These will be done through PPPs. That will be done at Rio Bueno and indeed in Roaring River in Westmoreland. So we expect to add water treatment capacity. Now, there are 2 existing water treatment plants that we expect to significantly improve and get additional yields of over 10 million gallons daily between the Martha Brae system and indeed upgrades at the Great River system. So you see, Minister Bartlett, wherever you are intending to build, wherever the Prime Minister is building a housing scheme, wherever P.S. Williams is putting new roads, wherever our development journey is taking us, we're building in the water capacity to lay the base for that development. And we are proud of the work that has been done by the MEGJC, certainly through the Water Policy Unit, and we're proud of the work that has been done by the National Water Commission. But we're very thankful for the Prime Minister and his vision and commitment and his follow-through with the investment that is being made. Because you see, rainwater is free, but harnessing it is not free. Storing it is not free. Extracting it when it goes into the ground from wells is not free. Distributing it is certainly not free. It is for that reason we are putting our money where our mouth is. It's for that reason we thank the Prime Minister for his commitment to transforming water distribution in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, the work that we are now doing in the water sector is 20 years late. There will be some pain points as we go through this transformation. It is also for that reason that in this season of choice we need to have honest discussions about where we are. I listened recently to someone who is no stranger to the political stage, former Member of Parliament from Westmoreland, who seems to have relocated, Madam MP, speak about water issues in northern Trelawny. And I wondered if this was the same individual who sat at the cabinet table, allocated nothing to the particular problem, allowed the pipes in the grill to cave in on themselves, to see people in the West End pay for trucking of water above their salary, at a cost above their salary. And you said to yourself, my goodness, my goodness. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to spend time looking back at those who created the problem. I am telling you that we are fixing the problem and we are integrating our water systems in a manner that gives you the certainty that when you go home to your house, you don't need to have a bath pan because you can take a shower. It'll give you the certainty that if you have piece of land that has been left to you, go build your house because you're going to have access to potable water. The work we are doing also says to those who are most vulnerable in our society that yes, because of climate change, you do need some storage. It's why your government has already this year distributed 13,000 black tanks across the country. It is because of how we have run the Water Commission and because of our commitment to you and our commitment to ensure that every single Jamaican has potable water, that your Prime Minister instructed in November of last year that those who were disconnected because of high bills, if they were pensioners, if they were disabled, if they were on PATH program, they needed an amnesty. It is why we are coming up on about 10,000 Jamaicans who have been reconnected. I think we're a little below now, but we're getting close. We have attracted $680 million of payments that we wouldn't have collected otherwise. But we have written off $4 billion Jamaican dollars from the backs of poor people to ensure people can reconnect to the water system. So, hear me out as I come to conclusion. We are giving the dividends to those who most need it, by way of distributing water tanks, by way of taking the burden of heavy bills from their backs, while running a water commission that I believe for the first time in its existence has had 3 straight years of surplus. So you make a surplus, you pass on the dividends to those who most need it. But in running the Water Commission well, in ensuring that the government is run well under your Prime Minister, we have the funds to invest $28 billion on this project without a dollar of debt. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a little over 2 years, we know that we will be well on the way. We are very clear that there is more work to do and there are more announcements to make. And those announcements have to yield tangible results. But whether you're in St. Mary, we'll break ground soon on Agwater Vale. And that will solve 30 years of water crisis in Port Maria. Whether you are somewhere near White River on western St. Mary's boundary, we are going to solve your issue. If you are currently being supplied by Logwood, this will support you in Hanover and Negril. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of work to do, and we need serious people to do that work. For that reason, I am thankful to serve with Prime Minister Andrew Michael Holness as we transform the water sector. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Honorable Matthew Samuda, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. $28 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of our money. Yes, citizens of this country. Yes, and that's so very, very important. I think the chairman said it earlier on. It's a multi-billion-dollar project that will change Jamaica forever. A bold, bold, bold investment in our health, in our tourism, in our agriculture, in our manufacturing, in all the things that will make us tick as a nation. Thank you so much for your work, Minister Samuda. And at this time, I believe I glimpsed him coming in earlier on. A devoted father, a devoted husband, a man of faith known for his heartfelt performances and a very humble spirit. He captured the hearts of Jamaicans in 2024 and became our Digicel Rising Star for that year. So if you're ready for a little bit of entertainment at this time, please put your hands together for Akin Fennell, our Digicel Rising Star winner of 2024. Akin, your time.
When I look at where I'm coming from, I know I'm blessed. I close my eyes and smile. Sometimes I feel like the richest man in Babylon, and I've done my best, so everything's alright inside. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing. So when the evening comes, I will lift up my hands to the hills and bless the Lord. So with my 2 hands in the air, as far as I can, yes. I mean, say with my 2 hands in the air, as far as I can. With my 2 hands in the air, as far as I can. Lift up your hands in the air if you know you. Yeah. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a blessing, life is a lesson. Lift up my hands to the hills and bless. Oh, yes. Sometimes I'm lost and far from home, but I find my way. I follow my heart, I know I'll be fine someday. But while I'm lost, I learn and live. What do you say? Let's have a good time until that day. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that it is a lesson. So when the evening comes, raise up my hands to the hills we bless, oh yes. Jamaica with my two hands in the air as far as I, oh, oh, come on, oh, oh, as far as I can, yes. I'm just lift up your hands in the air if you know we can. Oh, 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 lift up your hands in the air. Oh, every morning I rise, I stare at the sun. I know that life is a blessing, life is a lesson. Ooh, yes. Lift up your hands in the air, Jamaica we bless. Oh yes, with my two hands in the air, bless. Oh, every morning I'm rise, I'm stare at the sun. I know that life is a blessing, life is a lesson. Ooh, with my two hands in the air, as far as, with my two hands in the air, as far as I can. Thank you.
Ooh. I kind of felt like I was going to get a little bit more, but put your hands together for Akin Fennell. Just getting a little taste of this young man's talent. And I tell you, he's going places. Vision, they say, without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes time. But vision with action can change the world. Allow me to bring to the lectern at this time Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica.
Thank you everyone. Thank you. You're all looking so lovely, and it is indeed my pleasure to be with you this afternoon to launch, break ground, this very important project, the Western Resilience Water Project, groundbreaking for Phase 1. Let me begin my presentation to you by reflecting on the many calls that are made to radio stations on a daily basis about ordinary Jamaicans who do not have this most important, life-giving commodity of water. And I want them to know that I literally hear almost all of these calls because I monitor the radios, I monitor the programs, and I listen very carefully to the complaints that are made. And I want every Jamaican that is without water today to know that I know. But more than that, it is not knowledge without concern. I know and I care. And it is more than sympathy or empathy. I am doing something about it. And I would wish you to have faith in that. It is difficult after decades of having faith to be asked to continue to have faith. But what is the alternative? The alternative is despair. But in me and the government I administer in your behalf, you can take the biblical admonition of faith. It's the substance of things hoped for. You can take this project today as the substance of the delivery of resilient water into your pipes. And it is the evidence of the things you have not seen, but you figure it's there, you know it's there. Well, you have the evidence of it today. In fact, I would want you to consider that in 2017, a community in southeast St. Mary called Gibbs Hill had no water. And while I was campaigning in 2015, I visited Gibbs Hill. In the same way, I visited another small community in the parish of Clarendon called Rosewell. And they had no water. And they were complaining. And they called the radio stations. And I, when I became Prime Minister, and having made the commitment, I set about fulfilling it. The people of Rosewell, the people of Gibbs Hill now have water. We put in the investment. Like the billions of dollars of investments we have made right across Jamaica to make communities that previously were without water, they have water now. But those persons no longer call the radio stations. And I would wish that some of them would call and say, you know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I did not have, but I have now. Because the narrative that is created is that somehow the entire Jamaica is without water. So let's sum up those 2 points. Point number one, for the communities that are without water now, your voice is heard. I personally care about it. And the government that I administer on your behalf, we are working hard to correct and improve. And you can take hope and have faith because others that were in your position now have water. And the government is now active with $425 million US of investment, or 67.5 billion Jamaican dollars of investment in the water supply for the western end of the island that is going to, one, ensure that you have reliable water supply, two, ensure that the water supply is expanded to those who now don't have, and three, to ensure that in the event of shocks, whether they be weather shocks or other kinds of shocks, that you will have water. And that is not a promise, that is a commitment that is active and strongly made. And I want to put that commitment in perspective. It's now speaking to those persons who don't have water. The government of Jamaica allocated $45 billion for the Spark program. Recall that the Spark program is split into two. 20 billion is for the roads that pass your house, the local roads. And under that program, we will probably do about 600 roads. So you see, for this specific project, the extent of the expenditure, this project is $1.5 billion granted over 6 years. The Spark program, one element of it, is $20 billion, which will likely go over 2 to 3 years. And that's for the entire island. So I want you to see how seriously the government takes the water infrastructure. I have to put it in this context because the national narrative sometimes is skewed and is diverted by discussions that may not benefit from the facts of the situation. Now, granted, there will always be persons who choose to believe what they want, and no matter what facts are presented to them, they will be of the same view still. But it is my duty to bring the facts to you for you to choose. It is attributed to Einstein, the great physicist, though we can't find evidence that he actually said it. But it is usually attributed to him that the people who created the problem cannot be the same people to solve it. What we know he said is that the same thinking that created the problem can't be the same thinking to solve the problem. But the same people who created the problem usually have the same thinking in the first place. And they don't change, and therefore you can't ask them to go and solve the problem. What is the problem? Why a returning resident who lived for many years in the United States would move back to Jamaica in our old district and is of the view that somehow, the existing government is doing nothing. And it is ineffective government why there is no water. Now, in a sense, she is correct. But the problem has many dimensions. It is a complex problem as to why we have a water challenge. And though it is complex, it is also contradictory, because all of you would have grown up in school knowing Jamaica to be the land of wood and water. And that adds to the frustration. At the same time that we have rivers and deep wells and all kinds of hydrological features, there are communities that are simply dry and without. At the same time, we get heavy floods. And then in a few weeks, the rivers are dry. Well, historically, we did not settle where we had established water supply. So we are dealing with a historical settlement pattern where population centers are not in proximity to water sources. So that means that there has to be massive investments in bringing water from sources to population centers. We had to do a massive one of this in the 1980s when we brought water in from St. Thomas to feed the population of Kingston. And by the way, that project is what has kept Kingston alive. In the 1990s, we did another project where we brought water in from the Rio Cobre and from the Tullow Springs into Kingston. This project that we are speaking about, again, that's bringing water from all kinds of sources. Martha Brae, White River, to as far as into Negril. So you see that though we are blessed with water, and the water falls freely from the sky, The pipeline has to be purchased. The well has to be dug. The tanks for storage have to be built, not to mention the pumps and the lovely workers at the NWC that have to be paid. So water is an expensive infrastructure, and it becomes even more expensive because of our history of spatial settlement and our geography. But there is truth in the view that government has been ineffective. Now, in a debate in Parliament on roads, I made the point that this administration is not to be blamed for bad roads or even for lack of water. However, we are responsible. It's a massive distinction. Because at the source of the government problem in water, or the government problems in roads, or the government problem in safety and security, or the government problem in health, is the management of the economy. Because for decades, you have been fed a narrative that the economy does not matter. There are politicians who would have stood up to you and say, the economy can't nyam. Meaning, don't tell me about GDP growth, inflation, debt cut, interest rate low, inflation low. Don't tell me about that. Because, you know, it has no impact necessarily on my household. And that has been the trick that has destroyed wise voting in Jamaica. Because you have separated the means of delivering the things you want from the wherewithal to do it. The economy can drink. The economy keep you healthy. The economy keep you safe. The economy provide you road. The economy provide you school. And until the Jamaican electorate understands that it is about the economy, Guyana recently decided to give an unconditional cash transfer to its citizens from its national budget. And they did several of it. They gave out the household something like $400. They gave students who are going to sit their CSEC exams, they gave them a grant. Where did they get this cash from? They are building massive highways. If you go to Guyana now, Guyana's growth rate is, you know, I figure it's in the 50% growth rate, high growth rate. Where did all of that come from? Guyana discovered oil. Where are we getting $67.5 billion to spend on this project? Where are we getting $45 billion to spend on Spark? Where are we getting the money to give you $1 billion in the Solidarity Program? A give back to 50,000 Jamaicans who did not receive any benefits at all. They are not on PATH or any of the social safety net, and they did not receive the reverse tax credit. Where did that come from? It came from the dividends from the good management of your economy. So discovering good management of the economy is the equivalent of discovering oil. Take that away, and you end up in a situation where your spatial growth outpaces your infrastructure. Take that away, and the actions of criminal elements in your society outpaces your law enforcement capability. Take that away, and your hospitals fall into disrepair and they are unable to give you the service that you require. Take that away, and your pipes, your pumping stations, your tanks, they deteriorate and you have no water. Take that away, and your roads can't be repaired. But no, not everyone looks at it that way. Asphalt falls from the sky like water falls from the sky. So I make this point to you today, that we are able to gather this large crowd of very proud Jamaicans who are looking with great hopes that their water situation will be solved. That all the other things that they hope for will materialize. Because we have finally addressed the engine of delivery, which is the economy. It's not perfect. The economy is still in a fragile state. But I want you to think on this word that I'm going to use. And it is in the title of this project: resilience. So, Jamaica was considered, in many instances, the basket case of the region because of our debt situation. We have moved the debt from 120, 130% of GDP. The debt is now at 68% of GDP. In fact, it might even go down a little bit more. We were once considered the crime capital of the region. We have moved the murder rate from 49 per 100,000 to now, halfway through the year, we are about 25 per 100,000. In both instances, it's government policy. Government spent almost $90 billion on our national security. $90 billion. 3 times what was spent in the previous 9 years. But there are those who would want to say, no, the government has nothing to do with this, it's the police. I mean, all of a sudden, the police get new cars, new technology, new kit. It just materialized, like somebody snapped their fingers and it just happened. And of course, there are those who want to believe that. Well, if you believe that, you go ahead. But the reality is that government matters. And who governs your country matters. And the platform on which I stand on is a platform that is of the greatest integrity. The greatest integrity is someone who says, this is what we commit to, and does it. So I go back to all the callers to the radio programs who are frustrated about your water. We will bring water to your district. We will bring water to your community. You will be able to stand in your brand new bathroom that you have built with your soaking tub and all the other modern amenities and have flowing potable water in your home. this is something that this administration is committed to, not just by words, but by allocation. By running your economy well, by using your tax dollars well and wisely, we will put in place the systems to be able to deliver the benefit that you want. It is not, however, going to happen before the next election, as some people would want you to believe. What we are certain of is that we have put in place systems. And as I look to close my presentation to this audience that is obviously wrapped by every word that I have said, as I close my presentation to you, I run the Mona Dam most mornings. That infrastructure was built almost 80 years ago. It was built by a colonial grant. And it continues to serve parts of Kingston and St. Andrew. In fact, it is a critical piece of infrastructure, indispensable. As is the Hermitage Dam, which is heading towards 100 years old. Again, built by the colonial government. Both infrastructure are aged. Aged. More so, the Hermitage Dam, which at some point in time, we will have to effect massive repairs or do some other innovative things to it for it to last another 100 years. Infrastructure, whether it is a reservoir or a dam, it takes time to construct. So I want everyone who is calling and saying, I need my water today, to bear this in mind. To construct any infrastructure, you're looking at 6 months to 2 years. But in today's world, the time for planning sometimes is longer than the time for actual construction. Because you, the electorate, the citizens, the residents, also want probity, accountability, transparency, reporting in the process of making these massive allocations. You want to be assured that every dollar of that 67.5 billion Jamaican dollars ends up in the project and not in someone's pocket. So there is a period of time for the process of accountability, as there is a period of time for the process of construction. I did not wake up this morning and say to Minister Sabuda, come, let us go break ground for this $67 billion project. You would have heard when the project was dreamt of, Timothy pointed out that E.G. Hunter, former managing director, thought that we needed a ring around parts of Jamaica to supply water. Then there was a break in a transmission main that took water from St. Catherine into Kingston. And at that point in time, we had to allocate almost $3 billion to repair it. Then there was a break on this line again, which affected all the communities, in particularly those tourism communities. And the cabinet sat down and said, you know what? We need to make this investment. 2 years ago, I announced in Parliament that we're going to do it. And we are now here today to break ground. In the same way that 20 years ago, or more than 20 years ago, we decided that we would do, or the vision of the Montego Bay Perimeter Road was born. But previous governments couldn't do it because they just didn't have the wherewithal, the resources. They didn't manage the economy well. Now, 2 years ago, we broke ground. I'm wearing a shirt similar to this. And I can stand here today, 2 years hence, and I'm very pleased to see that they have started asphalting, putting on the final layer on parts of the road. But that's how long it takes. That's how long it takes. So I understand your frustration. I can't come and lie to you and tell you that, you know, you're going to get the election, the water, 10 days after the election. Or we're going to come and build 50,000 houses. I can't come and tell you falsehoods. There are processes in place. But what you should take hope in is that the processes are funded, you see evidence of it working, and we continue to manage the engine of the economy that will deliver these projects. So for all the people who are concerned, have faith. The water is coming in a resilient way, meaning that if you have drought, you will still have water. If one main break, we'll be able to divert water to somewhere else. If one pump goes down, you will continue to have water because the system is resilient. That's the idea of what we are doing. That is the Western Water Resilience Project. That is what we're doing. So ladies and gentlemen, you have been a gracious audience. I hope that I have been able to stretch your minds a bit and who knows, maybe confront some long existing biases and maybe there is a change of view or a sharpening of views. God bless you and thank you. Choose Jamaica.
That's the Prime Minister Andrew Holness speaking at this Western Resilience Water Project launch and groundbreaking ceremony at Davis Pen in Tover Hamilton's constituency of Northern Trelawny. Break time, and we'll stay with it long enough for the Prime Minister to break ground, and then we'll make way for the news at 5.
In Jamaica, your rights are protected by our Constitution. From the right to education to freedom of expression, every citizen deserves respect and dignity. But remember, with rights come responsibilities. Let's uplift and respect each other and stand against injustice. Together, we can make Jamaica a better place for ourselves and future generations. Know your rights. Embrace your responsibilities. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
You've led teams, built businesses, and influenced change. Now, lead research that transforms your field. Apply now for the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean's Doctor of Business Administration or Doctor of Professional Practice. Flexible, research-based, and designed for working professionals. All UCC programs are accredited by the University Council of Jamaica. Learn more and apply online at ucc.edu.jm. UCC, fostering leadership and innovation.
Taxi drivers, ready to start earning more money? Join Amber on Time, Jamaica's taxi app built just for you. 0 commission in the first month, no catch. Plus get a free vehicle tracker to protect you and your ride. Stolen vehicle recovery and panic alarm response included. Download the Amber Captain app today and start driving. Or roll through to our office at 30 Westminster Road, Kingston and sign up on the spot. So whether you're Kingston, Mobile, Ochi or anywhere else, work there. Come take advantage.
50 years of dreams. 50 years of finger-licking good memories, yeah.
Thank you, Jamaica, for 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
For over 30 years, Chris and Charles has been financing your goals, dreams, creating your great moments. Celebrate the occasion with us. Borrow $1 million, pay less than $25,000 monthly, and get 30% off your processing fees.
No guarantor needed. Call 876-920-4189 or WhatsApp 876-838-9028. Conditions apply. When you think loans, think Chris and Charles.
You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Guilty. Outperform, outlast. Guilty. With top performance. Guilty. Jackhammer. Reliable. Full stop. Not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton. Available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
50 years of dreams. 50 years of finger-licking good memories, yeah.
Thank you, Jamaica, for 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
That could be your brand new 2026 Beijing X55 SUV for just $2,500. It's the JSSE's first ever car raffle. Grab your tickets at Fontana, York Farm, Fesco, Mothers, Phosphate, Supreme Ventures, or online at jsseja.com or caribtix.com. Entry ends November 29, grand draw December 11, 2025. Proceeds support JSSE projects. Learn more at jsse.dimestockex.com. Approved by the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Commission. Must be 18 years or older to enter. Rev up your Christmas with just $2,500.
50 years of dreams. 50 years of finger-licking good memories, yeah.
Thank you, Jamaica, for 50 years of finger-licking good memories. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Tell them cut the plastic, cut it before things get drastic. Educate Jamaica, that a few tactic. Yes, the reusable, no to single use. The youths them a practice. So dash with that. Make we have a plastic free summer. Single use business we no want. The ocean no want to taste plastic waste. So make we find more sustainable ways to make sure. Say we have a plastic free summer. Protect the environment where we have done ya. Play your part, use plastic smart with the plastic free summer. Yes, so we a start. A message from the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation.
Forget ordinary, think Liqui-Moly. Get a 15% discount on all Liqui-Moly oils and additives from April 25th to July 30th at all Burt's Auto Parts locations. Buy 4 or more Liqui-Moly engine oils or 4 transmission oils, you get a free LM40 all-purpose cleaner. But hurry up, the offer runs while stocks last and conditions apply. Forget ordinary, think Liqui-Moly. And remember, it hurts if you don't check Burt's.
Calling all businesses. Nationwide 90 FM's Back to School Fair is heading to Harmony Beach Park, Montego Bay on Saturday, July 26th, and your brand should be there. With families from St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, Trelawny, and St. Elizabeth expected to attend, it's the perfect chance to connect directly with back-to-school shoppers. Contact us at sales@nationwidenewsnetwork.com or call 876-630-1210 to book your vendor space today.
So where you get? The new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich, my girl. The flavor just hits different. Blackened like it burn up? Nah, man. Blackened because of the color of the Louisiana herbs and spices. Blackened like the flavor buck. No breading and the seasoning soaked deep in the chicken. But get yours and try it, cause me nah share yours. Get the new Popeye's blackened chicken sandwich. Limited time only.
Love that chicken from Popeyes.
Calling all seafood lovers on Sunday, July 13, Rum Bar Rum presents Little Ochi Seafood Carnival at Little Ochi Alligator Pond with high energy performances. The dance boss, Jamal, the lyrical agent, Sasko, the corn boss, Area Code. Pre-sold tickets 3,000 at the gate 4,000. Music by Bass Odyssey and Star Level. Tickets available at Rainforest Island Wide, Little Ochi, Little Dutchy, Father Bull. Free Kiddies Village, so bring the kids. You must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly. Sunday, July 13, Little Ochi Seafood Carnival. See you there.
You want to win? Then just bet. Bet on the game, no stress, no sweat. And win big in the Wanna Bet Just Bet promotion. Spend $1,500 or more on one Just Bet ticket and complete the entry form at promotions.supremegames.com for your chance to win. Third place gets Beats by Dre. Second place gets an iPhone 15 and AirPods Pro. And first place gets a 65-inch TV and a soundbar. Promotion runs May 16 to July 20, 2025. Grand draw July 25, 2025. Authorized under Section 58. Of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
All right, welcome back to Davis Pen in Northern Trelawny, where we're wrapping up our broadcast of the official launch of the Western Resilience Water Project and groundbreaking ceremony, Phase 1, where they're spending $28 billion out of allocation of $67.5 billion to take care of water-related issues in this part of the island. We're wrapping up now, but I can't go without giving the man to my right a chance to say something. He's East Central, one of our most prolific callers, always thought-provoking and engaging with his with his utterances, and I want to say good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, Master Judge, and good afternoon to the listeners them. We are over in North Trelawny, where we are in Saltmarsh residence, as in over in Davis Pen, where there's a water project as now unfolded in terms of the development of the western part of the island, and we are out here wanting to make the residents over in the western part of the island, as in Westmoreland, Hanover, Trelawny and St. James, have a better water quality.
Excellent, sir. So how are things overall?
Overall, so far the day has been looking so beautiful. The turnout has been well. People have been just coming in, even the late hours from work now, just to see the project, what is unfold. And it is a good motivation for the residents in this area. And work would be generated from time to time so that the residents have a better working environment and a living condition in terms of the water quality.
Excellent, sir. Well, East Central, respect all the time and all the best to you, and we look forward to many more engaging conversations with you on air, Nationwide family.
Thanks very much, Master Judge, and thanks very much to the Nationwide family and the broadcasters who are out here, who is keeping the job and see that the job is going on fine on a daily basis. I wanted to big them up, and they're all here, and give them a big round of clap.
Round of applause. All right, sir. Thank you very much. All right, East Central. Thanks to our BDE. Special thanks to BDE, Diana Buchanan, Damien Cunningham, who's the technical operator in the studio, Jermaine Compass, the man on the ground, hard-working fellow. Jamal Tucker is the videographer, getting himself ready for new rules on Saturday. Kimberly Rowe, who just had a nap and is ready to take his time to take us back to town. And Natalie Nita, producer extraordinaire. Thank you all for listening. Make way now for the news at 5.
50 years of dreams.